Hey guys, LC Gatsu here. Um, ranking. I thought I'd do a video ranking every book that I read in the year 2025. This is the first video that I'm making in this kind of format, recording in this way. So please do let me know if there's anything I can do to improve. I've tried to use the device with the best audio output that I could find, but I don't know if it's actually going to work out well. So please do let me know. Also, apologies if I sound a bit bunged up, a bit sniffly. I am currently suffering with a cold, uh, but I wanted to get the video out before the end of the year, so I just went for it. So we're looking at about 90, I think just over 90 books this year, which is crazy considering I only properly started reading in uh, mm, April, May. No, it might even be June. It was towards like the middle of the year. Um, but before that happened, the first we'll just get on with it. The first book that I read this year was BattleTech Decision at Thunder Rift. BattleTech is a tabletop game like Warhammer, if you're aware of it. This is the first book they ever released, and it was fine. I enjoyed it enough, but it's not the best thing. It's kind of military fiction, but with mechs. It was fun. I had fun, so I'm putting it at B. I enjoyed it enough for it to go B. At the Mountains of Madness. So I then had a bit of a H.P. Lovecraft phase. So you'll see a few Lovecraft books here. But at the Mountains of Madness, also quite good. Probably high B. Um, Call of Cthulhu, I really liked. I think I'd give it an A. Um, People, it's kind of widely probably his most famous story, and I did really enjoy it. The Case of Charles Dexter Ward, also a B, I think, but like a low B, high C maybe. I'm going to put it like a low B. Uh, this was fun, dragged on a bit much. I think it wrapped up quite well. I will say this is in order the order that I read them, so I'm starting at the beginning of the year. Um, and that being said, the longer it's been, the harder it's going to be for me to remember the specifics. So you know, take that with a pinch of salt. The color out of space, I think I'll put it C. I remember that being like not being too fond of that. Um, did listen to a bunch of his other short stories as well, but I only kind of put the novella slash novel length stories on here. So next up, Blackwater Book 3, The House. I was quite disappointed by this. I think it's the highest rated of the six books. I'm going to put it a high C. I expected it to be a lot better. There wasn't enough horror for me at this point in the series. Obviously, it's the third book. It's supposed to be a gothic horror series, Southern Gothic horror, and I expected there to be more horror in each book, but it's kind of not delivering on that. So yeah, a little bit disappointed. Metro 2033. So this is the book that really got me into audiobooks. So this is where I started going, kind of really going in on reading. And when I say reading, I do mean audiobooks mainly. But that is reading. Ask most people and they'll agree. Metro 2033, I'm putting at the top of A. I initially gave it 5 stars out of 5 because I really enjoyed it. But I think part of that was the novelty of an audiobook. I think if I went back now, I probably wouldn't give it 5 stars. I think it'd be 4 stars. Still very good, still really enjoyed it. But yeah, so I'll put that as an A for sure. Um, which then, another apocalyptic. I wanted something similar in vibes and whatnot. So Roadside Picnic. You can see where it inspired Metro. I did enjoy Roadside Picnic. The conceptually it's very good, but I think the characters and kind of the story that was told fell a bit flat for me. So I think I'll put it kind of low B, but I did enjoy it and I can see why it is so influential and popular and whatnot. Then we've got I Am Legend, which I think falls around the same space. Again, I think maybe just underneath Roadside Picnic, but very similar in regards to how good I think it is and how much I enjoyed it. So yeah, I'll put I Am Legend there. Again, it's like basically a sciencey take on vampires. Not really the film, the Will Smith film, doesn't follow it very well. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Um, I'm trying not to take too long with each title because there's a lot on here. The Metamorphosis by Kafka, straight into D. This is supposed to be, it's. I'm sure you've heard of it if you're watching this. The Metamorphosis is it's huge. I don't think I'm not going to read any more Kafka because I don't think I'd get on with his style. I found this to be incredibly boring, um, and kind of lackluster and just slow. It was like I think the audiobook was like 3 hours, and it felt at least double that. It felt very long. I did not enjoy it at all. I think I like I could I understand the concept is interesting, and then it just goes nowhere. Like I don't get it. But No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. So this is another author, Cormac McCarthy, who I've heard many good things about. Um, and No Country for Old Men I picked out because of the name recognition. Obviously, there's the film. I've never actually seen the film. I thought I'd read the book first, and yeah, it was decent. I didn't really like the ending. I think I'm going to put it as a low B as well. Like I enjoyed it up to a point, and then the last like four chapters were just like, what is the point? Why? Uh, I know he's kind of people talk about his literary style and whatnot, and I don't get it. I don't get the hype. I did read another of his stories, which we'll get to, and yeah, I don't get the hype. And I might be saying that a lot, and I might annoy a lot of people. Do let me know if I do, if you disagree with me. But I don't understand it. Like all the run on sentences and stuff. That doesn't feel to me like it warrants merit necessarily, but I think I'm in the minority there. But yeah, No Control Man definitely had me hooked, and then just kind of like fizzled out towards the end, which is a shame. The Drift, I think I'm going to put like a high C. This is a kind of thriller with some sci-fi elements. My partner actually read this as well. She really didn't like it. I did like how uh, without trying to spoil it, there's three perspectives, and I like how they were done and why they were done. And I won't go any further than that, at risk of spoiling it. But I like that part, and I like the kind of world that was built. It just, it, yeah, it just didn't quite land altogether. Hyperion, very good book. Considered to be, I think, one of the best sci-fi books ever made, maybe. I can definitely see why. I really like it, but I don't love it. I have my issues with it. Maybe I'm not meant for literature. Maybe I'm just a dumb, you know. Maybe I don't get it. But all the kind of references and plodding along, kind of. That part doesn't work for me. All the stuff to do with um, I've completely forgotten the name now, but the poet. If you've read it, you know the guy who originally wrote the poem Hyperion, John Keats. That's it. Yeah, that kind of stuff feels a bit much. And I mean, there's a lot to dissect, and if you like that, that's great. Um, but I did like the way the six stories of the people. I'm completely blanking on the word, but the people that are there, kind of on the pilgrims, I guess. Um, how they were each kind of their own subgenre within the sci-fi space. That was very interesting. And then how it kind of all came together at the end. Then I started what I would currently call my favorite series, which is Red Rising. The first book, however, will go at the top of A. It's not quite S, but I did really, really enjoy it. It really, really hooked me. Um, and we've got Embers of War by Gareth L. Powell, the first in the Embers of War trilogy. This was okay. I'll put it at a high C. I wanted some sci-fi. I wanted an interesting kind of trilogy, and this was on Audible Plus, so I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And yeah, it was decent. I had a decent enough time, enough that I wanted to read the sequel, but it didn't blow me away, that's for sure. I'll put it at bottom of B. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Because as I said, I enjoyed it enough to read the sequel. Alien Isolation is a novelization of the game. I'm a big fan of the Alien franchise. I'm wearing the shirt right now. This book's not very good. Um, Turns out adapting games to books is hard to keep interesting. It felt like a game, except it felt even thinner. Like it didn't really do enough for me to warrant its existence. And then Alien of the Shadows was better, but not great. I think I'm going to put it like, yeah, I guess high C. It both of these books, they felt the same, like they were just trying to do Alien again, and that's not what I want when I'm reading an Alien book. I want you to do more of the universe. I understand some people that is probably what they're looking for, but I want to expand the universe. I want to see something different. I don't want to see the same story told again and again and again. Especially Alien Out the Shadows makes the decision to minor spoiler, I guess, but to bring Ripley back, even though it's set between the first and second book, and it's very silly. And the problem as well with these being part of a wider franchise is there's no stakes a lot of the time. Ripley, she's in between Alien and Aliens, the two films, so she's not going to die. She's got plot armor, so it's frustrating with stuff like that. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Same author, so that was Tim Leben who wrote Out of the Shadows. As I said, I did enjoy that a bit more. It was a bit more original, but yeah. So Tim Leben, who wrote Out of the Shadows, did the Relics trilogy, and Relics, the first book. I think I'll put it just above No Country for Old Men. I did quite enjoy this. I think it's quite unknown. There will be a few things on here, like Embers of War. I don't think a lot of people would have read Relics. It's about like a secret, like mythical creatures exist in modern day, and there's a secret kind of trade for body parts of these mythical creatures. And it was quite interesting. It kind of starts as like a detective um, mystery story and then turned into like a bit more kind of like contemporary fantasy, and it was interesting for sure. So yeah, I did enjoy Relics. Here we are, Golden Sun. If you know anything about me, I've spoken to me in the last 6 months, you'll probably know this is currently right at the top of my list of books as being my favorite book. I will say of all time with an asterisk because obviously of all time up to now there could be something that tops it, but brilliant, such a good sequel. I wasn't sure about it at first. The first few chapters, I was like, oh, I don't really like where this is going, and then you get to a point. All I'll say is the banquet. I'm not going to say anything else. It's obviously not a spoiler if you haven't read it, and then it just goes crazy for the rest of the book. It's so good. So yeah, that's definitely my top of S rank, and I don't think it will be moving. Fleet of Knives, the second Embers of War book, I think is like a high C. I'm gonna go, yeah, just below Drift, high C. Fleet of Knives, second Embers of War book. It wasn't. I liked where it was going. The first one had a lot of promise. The second one started fulfilling that promise, but then kind of went in a weird direction with it. It's hard to explain without having read it, but yeah, it I'm surprised I even read the third one, honestly, but I wanted to complete the trilogy. Halo Ghost of Onyx is the first of the Halo books on here. This is the fourth Halo book I think ever released, and I'd heard of many good things. I've heard a lot of people in the kind of Halo space say this is their favorite, one of their favorite books. I don't quite get it. I'm gonna put it at the top of B. It wasn't bad. I did enjoy it. Um, Definitely interesting introducing the Spartan threes. I didn't know really anything about Spartan threes apart from the fact that they're in Halo Reach, the game. Most of the main squad are Spartan threes. If you know anything about that, you might know that. But yeah, so that was interesting. But it simultaneously feels too slow and then too rushed. Like the first kind of two thirds feel too slow, and then the last third feels so rushed, and everything gets kind of wrapped up a bit too neatly. Um, but overall, I enjoyed it, and I really like Eric Nyland and his writing. And I wish he would like come back and do some more Halo books, 'cause I think that'd be so cool. The Last Murder at the End of the World, by Stuart Turton. I'm putting this low C, just below. Let's go just below. Alien Out of the Shadows. This was a mystery about the world has kind of ended, and there's an island of. I, I don't know if I should explain the books, or should just assume that you know what they are, but yeah, there's an island with people, and it's the last island of people that have survived, and the kind of leader of this island is killed, and if I think they have a day to find out who did it, and because if not, the barriers will come down and the island will be taken over by the apocalypse. It ended up being the way it wrapped up the story, especially with like a thriller and a mystery. The ending is the most important part, and the ending fell so flat. So yeah, I did not enjoy this that much at all. Halo Silent Storm. This was fine. It felt unnecessary. So this is one of the two like prequel Master Chief stories that are set before the first Halo game, when he's still like a teenager. Um, he's still like, he still fits in the suit. He's still a big guy, but yeah, it feels inconsequential because they can't, again, like with Alien Out of the Shadows, they can't do a lot because you are limited by the what comes after it timeline wise. But this was at least more enjoyable than the other one, which we'll get to. Um, got the Folded Land. This is the second Relics book, and I think I liked it a little bit more, but like marginally. So I'm going to put it right next to it. Um, continued the story of Relics set in the US instead of the UK, like the first one is. Interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I wanted to see where it ended, and we will get to that. Halo Last Light. I went into this not knowing what to expect. It was kind of my first of the newer Halo books, and it currently is my favorite. It's going in S. I was really pleasantly surprised by this. Really enjoyed it, and I'm so glad I read Ghost of Onyx beforehand as well, because there are Spartan Frees that you are introduced to in Ghost of Onyx that play a big part in Halo Last Light. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. This was again like it was like a mystery, but the mystery was good and it played out really well. And there was plenty of action as well. Like it all came together. It was exactly what you would want with a from a Halo book, and it actually made me really like Fred as well. Fred is one of my favorite Spartans now because of this book specifically, and his rapport with the detective that I forget the name of because it's been a long time since I read this. But yeah, um, so and again, it's crazy because it's Troy Denning, the same author of these two books, and Last Light felt so much better. Morningstar, also S. This is the third Red Rising book. If you don't know, it kind of finishes the first trilogy, and very, very good. There is a part near the middle, on in the snowy area. If you know, I feel like it drags a little bit. But apart from that, it's so good, and I think it ends the first trilogy off very well. Um, so I took a break from the series after that because I needed to ready myself for the next trilogy. So yeah, Halo Retribution is a direct sequel to Halo Last Light, and it's one of the most disappointed I've ever been by a sequel. Um, I think I will put it just above Out of the Shadows. It follows the team that is set up in Last Light and just falls so flat. It's kind of hard to put into words, but it just did not capture the vibes of Last Light in any way, and kind of felt felt empty in comparison, and that was very sad. The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. So this chronicling my reading of the year. This is when I was like, okay, I feel like up to this point I was reading like exclusively sci-fi with a bit of like thriller thrown in. Relics was the closest I got to like fantasy, and then I was like, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna read a fancy book. My partner got this. She couldn't really vibe with it. She doesn't usually like character focused books. Um, I do, and I really enjoyed this. My first Joe Abercrombie book. I think I'm gonna put it at the bottom of A. Like it wasn't the best thing I've ever read, but I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. The audiobook as well, especially, is really good. The narrator is very good. All the characters feel real. They feel like people. The only thing that's lacking, which my partner, what her kind of issue was that the main drive of the story was a bit shallow. But I had a good time. I enjoyed it, and I will be reading the next book when it comes out. Now here we've got one of my favorite authors, Isaac Asimov. So I read a lot of his. In fact, I finished the Robots series this year, which I'm very happy about. This is the rest of Robots. This is one of the short story collections. And as with short story collections, there are hits and there are misses. I think I'm going to put it just just below I Am Legend, just above the Foldland. Again, some very good stuff, some not so good stuff. Um, but overall very enjoyable and adds a lot to the universe and the kind of lore of the robots universe and series, which then goes into Foundation as well, which obviously is most known for. Lost in Time, I felt like I was sold a dream with this. This did not. Well, no, it was better than Last Moment in the World. I think I'm going to put it like here. This is kind of sold as being about a guy who gets arrested for a crime he didn't commit, and as punishment gets sent back to dinosaur times. And if you go in this expecting lots of dinosaur stuff and fun dinosaur stuff, do not, because you will be disappointed. I I don't like how I'd have to get into big spoilers to talk about why this didn't work for me. It started off very promising, but by the end I was like, that was dumb, and uh, it yeah, I can't say it without spoiling. But if you would like to hear my thoughts, let me know, and I can tell you without spoiling it for everyone. So we got the last book in the Embers of War series now, Light of Impossible Stars, and this was doo doo. This really, I'm gonna put it at the top of D, but it was not good, and everything that Embers of War and Fleet of Knives was building up, the thing that seemed like it was going to be super cool and interesting, oh, it just fell so flat. Yeah, it was not. It was not good, and I do not recommend. And yet, somehow, I have a positive opinion of Gareth L. Powell. I think he definitely seems to have some interesting ideas, and I do like his writing style. It's very kind of breezy and easy to read. Uh, he just, I don't think he knew how to finish it, how to flesh out these ideas that he had. So yeah, History of Britain in 10 Enemies. This is the first non-fiction book um, that I read this year. It's by the guy who did Horrible Histories, Terry Deary. Um, Low B, I guess. It was interesting. No, I'm going to put it high C. It was interesting. I didn't like his sense of humor that he kind of put into it. It wasn't great. It felt really slow. I think there's only one other non-fiction book that I actually read this year, but comparing the two is crazy because the other one I kind of breezed through and kept me gripped, even though it was non-fiction. It's about real history. Um, History of Britain in 10 Enemies couldn't quite do that. I enjoyed it enough, and it was interesting, and I like the idea of like talking about the country through kind of different conflicts. Enemies is a little bit misleading, but um, whole concept of it is interesting. There's definitely some interesting tidbits, but it wasn't written in a way that kept me really engaged, unfortunately. Um, then we got The Pale House Devil, which is a novella, and this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed this, and I think I'm going to put just above Decision Thunder if and when Richard Kadri, whatever his I'm not sure how to say it, but whenever he puts if he puts a sequel out, I will read it because I had a lot of fun with this. It was short and sweet, and the characters were very likable, and it told a well-rounded story in a short amount of time. Hidden Pictures, this is kind of like a horror thriller. Um, Came highly recommended, and I really enjoyed it. I'm going to put it at the bottom of S. It's kind of top of A, bottom of S. I'm going to put it, no, I'm going to put it top of A. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. It was one of those ones where I didn't want to put it down. I just wanted to keep reading. It kept me hooked kind of the whole way through. But um, there are a couple of little things that keep it away from being an S for me. Um, Quite minor things, but overall, I really enjoyed it. And I'd be interested to read more from Jason Recula. Uh, Here we start another big series. It's the Sun Eater series, Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio, I believe is how you say it. This was a big letdown, this first book. I got some very nice editions of the Sun Eater series, the first five books at least, and I saw it get compared a lot to Red Rising, which having read more of the series, I do understand, but it's definitely not written in the same way. I'm going to put it at the bottom of B, low B, not bottom of B. But it did have some redeeming qualities, but it um, definitely did not hook me. The first half of this first book, uh, I was like, why is this popular? It kind of second half definitely really picked up for me, but even then, I was like, I think if I didn't own the next book, I might not have continued it, and that would be a real shame. And you'll see why. Dungeon Crawler Carl. This people seem to herald this as the best thing ever. I really enjoy it. Um, I am a sorry if I keep looking. I notice I keep looking at that screen. It's because there's a second screen. Dungeon Crawler Carl. I really enjoy it. I shouldn't start by slating something that I enjoy. I think I think bottom of A as well. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's a good kind of palate cleanser if you need it, but yeah, it's not God's gift like some people will tell you. Apologies if that looked weird. I had to pause the recording briefly so I could cough because yeah, still got that cold. But yeah, Dungeon Crawl Cult, it's a lot of fun. Not the best thing I've ever read, but definitely I can see why people like it, and I did continue the series. Um, and then we got Magic the Gathering, War of the Spark Ravnica. I used to be massively into Magic the Gathering, which helped me understand this book. I'm going to put this just below the drift. If you went into this and you had no idea about anything Magic the Gathering, or even had no idea about the story leading up to this book, you would have no idea what's going on. Luckily, when I was into Magic, this was kind of the story that was going on, so I had the context that I needed, and so I enjoyed it enough. I had fun with it, but it's it's also very surface level. There's nothing here in this novel that wasn't just in like the general kind of base level lore that you get with the sets, which is a bit disappointing. Here's the other Cormac McCarthy book that I read, Child of God. This was bad. I hated this. I think worse than the Metamorphosis. It's about a scumbag, basically, who it just like kind of follows him. It's a novella, and it follows this kind of scumbag guy, and it was not enjoyable, not fun, didn't feel real like a real person. I don't understand why this book was written, because it was I couldn't see any redeeming quality to it at all. I know Cormac McCarthy is also very much known for The Road. I do have The Road. I plan to read The Road. I'm hoping it is better than Child of God. If it's on the same level as No Country for Old Men, that's fine. But I'm not sure if I'll end up reading. Oh, I also have Blood Meridian, which I would like to read. So yeah, I'll give those two a go, and then I will form a complete opinion on Cormac McCarthy. But currently, I think I'm in the minority. Next, we've got the Complete Robot. This is the collection of all of Asimov's robots kind of short stories. includes everything from the rest of robots and iRobot, as well as some other stuff like the Bicentennial Man. I'm going to put this at the top of C. I love Isaac Asimov. I think he is great. Not all of his stories are bangers. There are some duds, and with this being the complete collection, it has all the good stuff from iRobot and all the good stuff from the rest of robots, but also all the bad stuff from both of those books and all the stuff that didn't make it in, which I would assume is for a reason, because it's not quite as good. Still enjoyable. I would still say to pick it up, even putting it at the top of the, I'd still say pick this up, because I think Asimov is, or was at least, a brilliant man. I always feel smarter for reading something from Asimov. Speaking of classics, I guess, we've got The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. The Hobbit, I liked. I liked The Hobbit. I understand why it is as big as it is, but I guess just above Folded Land. No, I'm actually going to put it. I think I'm going to put it just below Relics. I enjoyed The Hobbit. I had fun with it. It's very whimsical. It's an adventure, but it felt very. I think it felt very disjointed, and I think part of that is the way it was written. It was kind of Tolkien would tell his kids stories, like bedtime stories, and so each chapter kind of feels like its own little adventure, which is fine, but I kind of wanted a bit more of an overall story, and I think obviously Lord of the Rings has that. I'm I might not ever read the Lord of the Rings because the films are so good that I don't know if I need to. But I understand why The Hobbit is as popular as it is, and I did enjoy it. I do like The Hobbit. It's just not amazing. I mean, it's a kids' book as well, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to get super deep and stuff, but what's there is very good. Um, I don't want people to hate me for my Hobbit take because I do like The Hobbit. I would call myself a Tolkien fan. All the skills one. This is I was looking for more lit RPGs after Dungeon Crawler Carl because I wanted to kind of see what else there was. All the skills was fine. Um, I'm gonna put it like a low B. I'm curious. I think no, I think it goes above. I think it goes just below The Hobbit. Some interesting ideas. I do plan to continue the series because of how it ended. The first book didn't blow me away, but very interesting. It sells itself as being like a deck builder RPG, like RPG specifically, which is kind of its like unique selling point. Which is how it kind of got me hooked. But it feels very young. But yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes. I had a decent enough time with it. The Edge by Tim Leben. This is the third and final Relics book, and this was a huge disappointment. Just like with Gareth L. Powell, doesn't seem to know how to uh, end a trilogy. I think it was slightly better than Light of Impossible Stars. Actually, no, let's put them both here because I think they both belong in D. They were both dud endings to the trilogy, which is such a shame because I had such high hopes for both of them. And yeah, it didn't deliver, unfortunately. Legends and Lattes. This series is very popular. Cozy Fantasy is huge. My fiance loves this book. I I liked it. I think I put it like a high B. I had fun with it, definitely. I'll put it just above. No, just below the Mountains of Madness. I had fun with it. Very chill, very nice. But I found myself having no motivation whatsoever to read the next books. Like I had more than enough of this from this book and do not need any more. I also don't really like Travis Baldree as a narrator. And as I mainly listen to audiobooks, that kind of puts me off. Sorry, but that's just how it is. Gunmetal Gods, what a one to follow it up with. This is S. I absolutely loved this. It's the first in the Gunmetal Gods book series, sorry. And I had such a good time. I just wanted more the whole time. I was having it's so good. It's like Crusades inspired fantasy with kind of eldritch monsters, like kind of Lovecraftian stuff, with some magic thrown in. It's so cool and it's so well written. It's kind of told from there's like a kind of main character on each side of the war, and the way their stories come together is so good, and I can't wait to read the next one. Well, I can wait because I did wait, because I haven't read it yet because I loved it so much that I splurged on the deluxe editions of the first three books, including Gunmetal Gods, which I now have the first two of, and will show off in a later video. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think it might be the best like first entry in a series that I've read personally, and that's the fact that it's independently published as well. Really kind of blew me away. So yeah, Gunmetal Gods, big high recommendation if you haven't checked it out already. If you like kind of dark fantasy. City of Nightmares. This was decent, interesting. I don't think I was kind of the target demographic. I think this is more targeted towards kind of women, but I had a good time with it. Interesting concept. Didn't take itself overly seriously. Like it was kind of a fun romp. I think I'm gonna put it just below uh, all the skills. I think yeah, I think that's good. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a duology, so I have finished that as well. Um, Speaking of disappointing sequels, The Fall of Hyperion can go in D. Uh, I had a terrible time with this. It basically took anything, all the stuff that I kind of didn't like about Hyperion, the first one, and doubled down. And anything I did like about Hyperion was gone. It I I would tell you if you're gonna read Hyperion, you're gonna read Dan Simmons, don't bother reading past the first one. Read the first book and just enjoy it as a standalone. I think it works well as a standalone. And I thought I was going to really enjoy Fall of Hyperion, and I hated it. I had a terrible time. So yeah, but I did finish it. I wanted to see if it would redeem itself. It didn't. So yeah, Language of Dragons. This is a YA fantasy romance. Yeah, really not the kind of thing I would normally go for, but it specifically is about Bletchley Park, which is where they, if you didn't know, where the Codebreakers were um, in World War Two. If you've seen the film The Imitation Game, uh, it's about that, and this is about like dragons, like deciphering dragon languages in Bletchley Park, which is very interesting. I grew up very close to Bletchley Park. I walked past it to school, so I was like, okay, well, dragons in Bletchley Park, it seems interesting, and I had a decent time with this. I I'm gonna put it at the top of C, I think. I had a good enough time with it. It's definitely very tropey, very YA, which may have put me off a little bit, but I'm willing to give the sequel a go. I think where it kind of left off. Um, I don't want to spoil it, but I enjoyed it enough, and I have a nice paperback edition of it, so a nice spray. So here we've got the continuation of Sunnier, the second one, Howling Dark, and this was a huge improvement. I think I'm going to put it there, just below Red Rising. Um, so much more enjoyable than Emperor of Silence, which is down here. You really start to see where the series is going with Howling Dark, and it's you kind of have a core cast of characters by this point as well. The first book, you it's Hadrian, the main character, and then you meet like one other important character, whereas in Howling Dark you get the main cast kind of, and things go crazy. That's all I'm going to say. But by then I was like, yeah, okay, this is my kind of thing for real. Summoner, the Novice. This is a trilogy of books. It's kind of like fantasy Pokemon. I really enjoyed this. I'm going to put this right at the bottom of A because it is very YA and very predictable, but I had a very good time with this. I enjoyed it a lot. Um, yeah, Naked Sun. This is the second proper robots book that kind of they are detective books set in kind of the robots universe, and I really enjoyed this. I am going to put it just above Hyperion. I think Naked Sun was a lot of fun, and as I said, I always feel smarter after reading it as well. The way it all comes together is very interesting, and each book in this series kind of takes you further out into the galaxy and you learn more about this universe. It's very, very interesting. Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. I'm a big fan of the film. The book was fine. I think I'm going to put it right at the bottom of B. I think if you've seen the film, you don't need to read the book. I think the film is better, although I did see it first. I knew what the kind of big twist was in the book because I'd seen the film. Um, but yeah, I preferred the film, but it was. I'm glad to have read it. Carl's Doomsday Scenario. I find it hard to differentiate between book one and two. I think book one was either slightly better or slightly worse than the first one. I'm going to put it just above, but like marginally. Again, it's a solid series. I enjoy it quite a lot. So, it's fun. That's kind of how I would describe it. Back to the world of disappointing sequels. Metro 2034 is one of the most disappointing sequels. Considering how much I liked 2033, I was expecting a lot from 2034 and got none of it. It, I don't understand why it exists, especially because it feels so separate to 2033, but it is what it is. I plan to finish the trilogy with 35, which goes back to the main character of the first book and is supposedly a lot better. Then I started another series, The Dresden Files. It's about a mage who is a detective in Chicago. Um, Long series, but I read this first book and I had such a good time. Similar with Dungeon Crawler Carlisle, I'll have to put it. I'm going to put it top of B. No, I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it just below Dungeon Crawler Carlisle because I had a really good time with this. Kind of learning about this world of mages, the kind of supernatural mystery that was focused on. It all came together really well. I had a good time, and I was excited to read the rest of the series. What Kind of Mother? This might be the worst book I've ever read. It was terrible, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Stay away from it. Made no sense. Dumb book. Don't read it. Day of the Triffids. This is a sci-fi classic, and I very much enjoyed it. I think just above At the Mountains of Madness. Really good time with this. Yeah, just I think it came together really well. Really interesting ideas that were kind of it. It's almost like what if these two separate apocalyptic events happened at the same time, which ended up being very interesting. And I think it's very concise as well. It uses its time wisely, and I think it definitely holds up to this day for sure. Apologies there. I had to take had to take a drink break. But let's move on. We're getting there. We've got Summoner of the Inquisition, the second Summoner book. This, I think, is my least favorite of the trilogy. I'm going to put it just below Halo Silent Storm, I think. Well, no, it wasn't that bad. It was a bit better than that. Just below Charles Dexter Ward, just above Charles Dexter Ward. Why not? A lot of this list could just change on a whim, to be fair. But yeah, it continued the series. It went in a weird direction. It felt a little bit rushed, but overall it was still quite enjoyable. And I was curious to see where they would go from there. So, Clown in a Cornfield, very disappointing. I thought it'd be a fun clown horror book, and it was a clown horror book, that's for sure. I'm gonna put it just above Fall of Hyperion. Yeah, I'm curious to watch I think it would work better as a film, so I'm curious to watch the film adaptation, but I did not enjoy this at all. It felt very political, like about American politics, which as a Brit, not for me. Um, and yeah, it just felt like a young versus old people thing. Weird. I don't want to spoil it too much, but yeah, I was very disappointed and will not be reading the sequels. The Immortality Thief. This really surprised me. I really enjoyed this. I think I'm going to put it just below Hidden Pictures. I had a really good time with the Immortality Thief. It's basically about a guy that gets hired, a thief that gets hired to go to this kind of space station to uh, find the cure, like the how to become immortal. Basically, that's what they were working on this space station. And yeah, stuff happens, and I can't really say more than that without spoiling anything. But I was really unsure about it at first, and I ended up loving it. I had a really good time. So I put Taryn Hunt on my radar for sure. I will be looking more for more from her. Then we've got The Whisper That Replaced God. This is a novella that the author was actually kind enough to give me an audiobook code on Twitter because I said I was interested in it, basically. And I really enjoyed it. I think I would put it like a high B. It's kind of, it puts you in the head of a, let's put it just above Rest of Robots. Puts you in the head of like a kind of crazy assassin, and is it's almost like a uh, unreliable narrator type thing. It's kind of hard to talk about. I think you have to read it to get it, and it's only short. I think the audiobook was like 3 hours. So I'd recommend giving it a go. It's a it's an indie author. I think Timothy Wolf is the author. Um, so give it a go and judge for yourself. But it's like a dark fantasy story about an assassin. That's kind of what I'll say about that. Speaking of dark fantasy, The Witcher, The Last Wish, I really enjoyed. I had a good time. Um, I have played a bit of The Witcher 3, and that's about it. But I wanted to get into the books. I'm going to put it just above The Devils, actually. So this is a collection of short stories. Not all of them were bangers, but the vibes were there, and that's what mattered most. I think each story was interesting, even if it wasn't my favorite. And the author, whose name I'm not going to attempt to pronounce, creates a very interesting world with these stories. So, yeah, it made me excited to get into the series. Next, we've got Tender as the Flesh. This was disappointing. Good concept, poor execution. The only reason it's not in D is because the concept's very interesting. Basically, the all the animals of the world have gotten this disease, and so people are farmed, humans are farmed to be meat, and it's kind of all about that. But there's the plot is so thin, um, so yeah, I would not recommend personally. Demon in White. This was phenomenal. I think at the time of reading, it became my second favorite book. This is the third Sunny book, and really kind of shows what this series is and where it's going. Like by the time, obviously, Howling Dark kind of puts you on the path, and then Demon in White really kind of gets into it. And I think it's still the longest book I've ever read, but it's worth it. I do struggle with some longer books. I will say I'm still quite new to reading. I mean, obviously, I did quite a lot this year, but before this year, um, I didn't read too much. So yeah, very long, but it didn't feel like a slog. It just felt intense. I needed a bit of a break afterwards, but it's very, very good, and I can see why some people love this series with Demon White, me included at this point. Um, then I read a Warhammer book, Warhammer 40k Cypher Lord of the Fallen. So my favorite chapter of Space Marines is the Dark Angels. Cypher is one of the fallen Dark Angels. Um, I this book I enjoyed it, but I found it very hard to follow. I'm gonna put it there. Um, Simply because Cypher himself is all about mysteries and lies, and so the book it's quite a short book, but I found it very hard to follow because it was all a question of, well, did this happen? Did it? Will it? Won't it? Like it's very much the whole book is just a question mark. But it was interesting. I think I would get more out of this once I've, based on a podcast I was listening to, once I've read more of the Horus Heresy and know a bit more about the kind of character of Cypher and the yeah, basically Warhammer nerd stuff. Basically, Butcher and Blackbird. So I read this at the request of my fiance. This is a uh, romance book about a couple of serial killers. Um, and it felt very silly. Uh, I did. I liked there was some also some. This is not for children. There was some really sus stuff in here. Um, but I I enjoyed the relationship and the characters enough, but I just don't think the genre is for me. And the fact that they're like, it's always a case of, oh, they're serial killers, but they're like vigilante serial killers. So you don't have to feel bad for liking them, or whatever. And that it just feels a little bit. If you're gonna commit, commit. You know. Um, so yeah, it's not the worst thing I've ever read, but I just don't think the romance genre is my kind of thing personally. The kind of romance I like going to this is Geralt and Yennefer. Let's go. So we got Sword of Destiny by in the second of the Witcher short story collections before the first full novel. I did like this a bit less than The Last Wish, um, but not by a lot. I still really enjoyed being in this universe. I've been wanting to read the next book, Blood of Elves. It's not on here because I don't have the audiobook yet. And I can't excuse myself for buying it considering I have so much else to read. Cage of Dreams. This is the second City of Nightmares book. Not quite as enjoyable as the first, but I did have fun with it. I'm going to put it just above Fight Club, I think. Lolita. This is a book that it's maybe one of the best, if not the best written book I've ever read, and I hate that because of the subject matter. Um, it was kind of the reason I read it is like a more morbid curiosity thing. You know, it's held up as being a classic, and I really do understand why. It's very controversial. I can't bring myself to put it above B, especially because of um, how much of a hard read it was and how hard it was to get through. And obviously, part of that is the subject matter. If you're not aware of what Lolita is, you can Google it. I'm not going to go through it, but a f- quite a thin plot, but it is held up by such a mastery of the English language, which is crazy considering the author Nabokov. Uh, English isn't his first language or even his second. I think it was his third language after Russian and French. So very impressive. And I feel like anyone who reads this, especially if your first language is English, it would just crush all hopes of being an author. Um, but yeah, we'll leave it at that. Essex Dogs by Dan Jones. This is my first kind of historical fiction, and I really enjoyed this. I had a really good time. I'm going to put it just above Data Drifts, I think. Set during the Hundred Years' War between England and France back in the 1000s, 1100s, something like that. And it is about the kind of lead up to the Battle of Crécy. Starts with a kind of D-Day style um, Normandy thing. Words are hard, but um, interesting because it's done in like a medieval style because it's set in medieval times. Excuse me. Um, and it I've lost my train of thought. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. It's the start of a trilogy, and I plan to continue that trilogy for sure. You will see Dan Jones on this list again, that's for sure. Full Moon is the second Dresden Files book. So the first one was in A. I enjoyed this a lot less, a lot less. This is it's another mystery about. This one's about werewolves, and I won't go any further than that. I'm gonna put it just below, just above Empire of Silence. I did enjoy enough of it, but I was very disappointed after enjoying Stormfront as much as I did. So I haven't read the third book yet, but I do plan to. I want to continue the series. I've heard that this is the worst book in the series, so um, we can only go up from here. Halo Oblivion. This is a direct sequel to Halo Silent Storm, and this did not need to exist. Again, it has the same issues as Silent Storm, where it can't really affect anything of note. because it's set before the first game. But it also has the issue of just introducing some stupid kids for no reason as like main characters, and that was very frustrating. Here we have The Templars by Dan Jones. It's another non-fiction book, and I've been fascinated by the Templars since playing Assassin's Creed when I was a kid, first one. So I wanted to know what, the truth about the Templars, and yeah, I really enjoyed this. I didn't think I'd ever put like a non-fiction book in A, but off the back of the Templars, I want to read a lot more Dan Jones. Obviously, I liked his historical fiction, and I liked his non-fiction. So I plan to read other medieval non-fiction about from Dan Jones. So you'll see more of that next year. Anarchist's Cookbook. This is the third Dungeon Crawler Carl book. I think I didn't like this as much as the first two, but it was still pretty good. I think just below the Mountains of Madness. Yeah, I enjoyed this. The train stuff's a bit much, a bit crazy. I think a lot of people have that kind of complaint, but it's still, it sticks to the formula and it's still fun and interesting. Um, so I will keep reading the series. The Lesser Devil. This is the first novella. It's like a side story in the Sun Eater series, and it's definitely it wasn't terrible, but I think yeah, I think there's fine. It didn't need to exist, but like it wasn't terrible. I enjoyed enough of it. The 20. This is a like crime drama, and I really enjoyed this. I really liked how it played out. I think, let's say there, high B. I'm trying to get through these now because we've got so many. Um, the Battle Mage. This is the final book in the Summoner trilogy. This is a book of two halves because the first half I really did not like, but the second half was like brilliant. I loved the second half. I think I'd have to put it like just above the second book because of the second half of Battle Mage was phenomenal, but the first half was such a drag. Um, but yeah, really nice ending to the series. There is still a prequel book from the series that I need to read. I do own it, so I will be getting to that at some point. Then I started the second Red Rising trilogy, and even though I think this might be the weakest book in the series so far, it's still an A rank. I think it probably goes here just below Red Rising and Howling Dark. It's still very good, and it's heart wrenching, gut crushing, as I've come to expect from Pierce Brown. And I'm scared to read Dark Age and Lightbringer because I've heard many things about them. The Robots of Dawn is the third robots proper book, the one of the detective ones. I didn't enjoy this quite as much as The Naked Sun, but I did enjoy it a lot. Just trying to remember specifically which one this was. Yes, yeah, I think I found the ending not as satisfying as they usually are. Let's go here. Yeah, still very good. I think Asimov is very good at writing mysteries. That's put it. I think I still would prefer it over Roadside Picnic. Um, then we've got The Lawless Land. It's another historical fiction set around the same time as Essex Dogs about a knight who basically comes across a lady in distress and decides to help her. This was fun. Wasn't the best thing I ever read. I do plan to try the sequels to or the sequel at least, to see if it kind of, because I really liked the main character. I'm gonna put it top of C. I did really like the main characters, but yeah, I need to see where it goes. It all felt a bit too connected, considering it's set in both uh, medieval England and France, and yet everyone was connected and seemed to know each other. It's a bit convenient. So if you can tell here, I got back into the Warhammer universe in a big way. mainly through Dark Imperium, which I'd been meaning to read, and I love this book. This is currently my favorite Warhammer book. Um, it feels like the problem that I have with a lot of Warhammer books is that they'll tell the story of a single battle, and there's not a lot of stakes because these characters don't ultimately, in the nicest way possible, don't matter. Dark Imperium is about a Primarch who's come back. If you know anything about Warhammer, this is a big deal. Primarch come back and basically reorganizing the Imperium, and it's so cool. And I didn't think I would like the Ultramarines, but I do, especially because Gilliman, their Primarch, has a lot of aura. Has so much aura, and that's kind of all you need. But no, there's depth to this story as well, and I also really like how he it goes into detail on how he's like reorganizing his realm within the galaxy. I found that to be very interesting, which I didn't think I would, and all the Nurgle stuff as well. Again, if you don't know Warhammer, you won't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I also found that to be very interesting, and I am very excited to read the next book in the trilogy. Then we have Assassin's Blade. So this is the wow. So this series is huge. This is from Throne of Glass. Sarah J. Maas as an author is huge. This is one of my fiance's favorite series, so I said I'd give it a try, especially as I'm more into fantasy now. A lot of people will start the series with Throne of Glass, which is the first book proper. However, this is a series of five novellas that are set before Throne of Glass that give you the backstory of the main character. And I don't see why you would ever read the first book uh, before this. It's weird. I don't know why you would care about the character. But anyway, Assassin's Blade, not the worst thing I've ever read. Very cliched. Um, very girl boss as well, which I feel like I'm going to sound like an asshole, but it can get on my nerves. Where it's like, oh, I'm just a small girl, but I'm like the best ever, and I'm just going to kill everyone, and I feel like I've come across as such an asshole saying that. I don't mean to. It's hard to explain what I mean by that, but it's just the fact that well, I mean, the main character, feels like a Mary Sue in some ways, where she's just the best at everything. And also, she's an assassin, but she's averse to killing. She doesn't like to kill people, but she's an assassin, and that's her thing. It's weird. I've heard it gets better. I read the synopsis of Throne of Glass, and I'm interested. It definitely sets some interesting foundations. Um, and I'm curious to see where it goes. Definitely, the arrogance of the main characters definitely seems to have been quelled at least somewhat, and I think that's kind of part of the journey of the books. Is this character is very arrogant, but kind of finds their way. So I'm interested to read more. I will read at least the first book, Throne of Glass, but it's gonna have to do some heavy lifting to get me to continue the franchise. I'm not sure. Yeah, low B. I think that's fair. Where it is Krieg, which is a Warhammer 40k Death Corps novel. I'm gonna put it in C. It's so it tells the story of the start of the Corps of Krieg, how they kind of came to be, as well as a current timeline story where um, the Krieg are like putting siege to a hive world that's been taken over by orcs, and I really struggled to care about this. I couldn't really find like a perspective character to cling on to, especially in the modern day. Well, I say modern day, it's like the modern 40k timeline. But the flashback stuff was definitely more interesting, but it was just boring mostly, which I thought would be hard to do. I think the a big issue is that the Kriegsmen, the people from Krieg, um, they're very stoic, so it's kind of hard to create interesting characters from them. So yeah, then we've got In the Shadow of Their Dying, which is a novella. I have a cool special edition of this. I enjoyed this. It wasn't the best thing I've ever read, but I had fun with it for sure. Short, a very grimdark story, but fun characters, and yeah, I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. Future's Edge by Gareth L. Powell. This book felt like if you took all three of the Embers of War books, put them into one, and made it more enjoyable. This is definitely my favorite Gareth L. Powell book. I'm going to put it just below I Am Legend. I had fun with this. Just a fun sci-fi story. Definitely some parallels to be made with Embers of War, but um, ultimately, yeah, fun. Brutal Cunning, another Warhammer book. This is about orcs versus the Adeptus Mechanicus. I am not a big fan of the Mechanicus, and half of the book is told from their perspective, and that half was not fun, and I did not enjoy that much. But the orc stuff was very fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. So I'm gonna put it here. It's just a good time. It's not very deep. Um, some interesting ideas, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of Mike Brooks. I know he's done a sequel to this called The Big Daka, so I might end up reading that. Kings of the Wild. What a surprise this was. I've actually wanted to read this book for a long time, since before I was into reading, because I really like the cover, and I absolutely love this book. I'm going to put it second. It's so close to Golden Sun, genuinely, but I think it just doesn't quite make it. But this was so. It's like one of the funniest but most heartwarming, but like kind of dark as well, and it had brilliant action that was really easy to follow, but still very in depth and fun. It's just all around such a great cast of characters. I had so much fun with this book, and I am sad that the second book in the series, although I believe the main characters of Kings of the Wild do appear, I don't believe they are the focus, which is sad because I had such a good time with Kings of the Wild. I highly recommend it. I will be reading the second book soon. Leontis Lord Solar, very pleasantly surprised by this book. I'm going to put it at the just below the Templars, I think. Warhammer book about Leontis. He is the Lord Solar. He's the Lord of he controls the basically the normal human soldiers in a quarter of the galaxy, and it tells the story of him on the front lines of a failed invasion, where him and a squad of guard survivors, the Imperial Guard survivors from a few different legions, including the Death Corps of Krieg from Krieg, and the Catachans, who are like Rambo basically, and like jungle warriors, and some basically like Mongolian riders as well. And they kind of have to survive on this planet and find a way to reunite. And it was really enjoyable. I had a really good time. I was very surprised by this. Um, and yeah, became like if I was to name characters from Warhammer 40k, which isn't a very character focused kind of franchise, I guess, but Leontis would be up there as one of my favorites, I think, at this point. Just from this book, I had a really good time with it. I think he was great, and it was great. Robots and Empire. It's the last of the Asimov Robots books, and unfortunately, I think it is the worst one. But I think it still deserves to be in B. Uh, just above Inquisition. The Inquisition, I think. Yeah, interesting. And a very interesting. The problem is with each book, you're going forward in the timeline, and so the main human character is not in this book. Um, and he makes it work in a really good way. And it is very interesting. It's well told. It just felt a bit less focused than the other ones, and a little bit less sciencey, and a bit more um, kind of into the fiction side of science fiction, if that makes sense. But still very enjoyable. I really like the series, and I'm very happy that I finished it as well. I will be reading. So after Robots comes the Galactic Empire trilogy, and then Foundation. So I'm going to read the Galactic Empire trilogy by Asimov next, and then I'll be reading Foundation as well because I really like Asimov. The last of the Warhammer books on here, the Gobbo rides again. So every year, the Black Library will put out the Red Gobbo book. It's a novella. The Red Gobbo is like the closest thing you'll get to Santa in the 40k universe. And the first two I really enjoyed, but this one not so much. It felt much less like a Gobbo book and more of a orc book. Like they were just trying to be like, oh, look at the orc faction. They've got the. Oh, I'll put it a bit higher. I think there. That feels right. Yeah, just trying to show off the different units from the orc faction rather than tell an interesting Red Gobbo story. So yeah, C rank for Dagobah Roads again. So this is the last book that I've actually finished this year. As of recording, I haven't finished Along Came a Spider. I'm currently reading it, but 20th Century Ghosts is a short story collection, and it includes the short story The Black Phone, which has been turned to a film. I think people know of that. And as with every short story collection, very hit or miss. I think I'm going to put it in B. I think low B though. I think just above Cage of Dreams. Some really good stories, some not so good. Ultimately, decent collection. If you're interested in Joe Hill, or Stephen King, Joe Hill is Stephen King's son. So if you weren't aware, I would say yeah, check it out. I do quite like Joe Hill's writing style. Just some of the stories didn't work for me, and that's fine. So I'm actually not going to rank Along Came a Spider because I haven't finished it. I am reprehensive about it currently, but we'll see where it goes. Uh, you know what? I'll rank it where I'm at currently. I think it would go here. So we'll see if that's actually, how I feel about it by the end. But yeah, not like it's the first Alex Cross book. Came highly recommended to me, and currently I don't get it. But yeah, so that's everything. That's everything I read in 2025. Just I think it was about 90 books, which is crazy for me. I've really got into my reading, and yeah. So obviously a big fan of Red Rising, and not so big a fan of uh, some of the bigger authors that are kind of considered to be pillars. Um, but yeah, let me know if you've read any of these, where you would put what you've read, if you're interested in any of them. Yeah, just let me know. Any comments about any of these books would be much appreciated. I just want to talk to people about what I've been reading. So yeah, so all I can say is thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.